I think there's this massive disconnect for a lot of Americans where they look at some of these formerly communist totalitarian countries like China, Russia, Venezuela, and they don't understand that it could happen here. And by some measures, I think it is happening here. And that's what I really want to talk to you about. So I've learned so much since being at ByteFederal from you, and it's alarming, but it does, it always helps to have more information, right? And so you're full of information. I had sort of suspected and started studying these things under the suspicion that there was a lot happening here in the US that was similar to what was happening in China, and people had just called me crazy. People, really didn't want to talk about it until 2020. And when COVID happened, people kind of came back and said, holy shit, I can't believe that they're locking us down. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's more to this. And I think that has opened up the conversation, but there are still massive parts of the population that are completely blind to it. Even people that are maybe more awake, and open to the ideas, I don't think that they understand really how close we are. So you've made many comparisons, things happen all the time, and we get these great rants in at the office, where you're like, oh my God, I saw this happen in Venezuela. This is, it's like rewatching history. So I want to touch on as much of that as we can. For people who are listening who don't know much about Venezuela, except it's communist and their money is kind of worthless. Can we do a quick 101 on what Venezuela used to be like? So Venezuela was not always a communist state.
No.
Okay, so let's go back to that. I don't think
ever. Even we had a dictatorship back in the 50s, but it wasn't really. That dictatorship actually built more than anybody else.
More flourishing? You had
more infrastructure.
Right.
The infrastructure of the country was because of that dictatorship in the 50s.
Okay. And so for a period of time, Venezuela was thriving. They had the best economy in...
The oil, the discovery of oil made it so wealthy.
Yeah, it's a really rich country. There's no reason they shouldn't thrive.
It's the richest country in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. So what happened?
There's also corruption, right?
Yeah, of course.
So I think that's what happened. Corruption happened.
So there's a lot of corruption.
Where we were this country who had everything. I remember, I was born in 84, but I remember growing up in the 90s. I mean, Venezuela was beautiful and thriving. But there was also corruption, and there was also poverty. I mean, in Latin America, there's always poverty.
Was there a middle class in the 90s?
Yes.
There was.
I think that was the majority, though.
Okay.
So the majority was middle class.
Right. So similar to maybe the United States in the 90s.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then what? Politically, because we're gonna follow a few threads. I want to talk about money specifically, since we're working in Bitcoin. But first, I want to talk about the politics and the political setup, and then we're gonna go back and look at the money, and then of course we'll talk about the comparisons we're seeing here in the States. But politically, what happened?
So in 1992, the president that was there,
and that was who?
He was Carlos Andres Perez.
Okay.
He was a little bit corrupt, sure. I mean, he stole but it's funny now that they compare of how much the guy stole to compare to what Hugo Chavez or Maduro have stolen from the country, and it's just the amounts are just insane.
Right.
So sure, he stole some. So then you have this young lieutenant called Hugo Chavez that he goes and does a coup against him in 92.
And when you say a coup, can you tell us that
was a military coup?
Military
it was
coup.
Just a group.
Was there
it was just a group. It wasn't the whole military, we're gonna overthrow.
Was there the illusion of an election?
No. That was straight up coup. That was just a spring. We just woke up at I think it was 5 a.m. I mean, I didn't live in the capital. This happened in the capital.
Okay.
I lived near the border with Colombia in another city. So, but everybody woke up to the news. Was he
involved in politics before?
No.
Chavez? He wasn't. So he just shows up and he takes over the country?
Yeah. He just showed up. He wanted to topple the president because he was corrupt or whatever.
So they claim that the president's super corrupt, and so we have to take him down because of this?
Yes.
Okay, and did people go along with it? Were there protests? Were people upset? Was there any, like...
So there was some fighting. The coup failed. Throughout the day, it was, what do you call that?
So there was like an attempted coup
where
first.
People can go out.
Protests?
No,
lockdowns?
Curfew.
Curfew? Okay, so they put a curfew in place.
There were curfews, like you couldn't go out or anything because they were trying to, the military was trying to lock down, get rid of the coup.
Okay.
Right? So they eventually failed. Hugo Chavez came into TV, and he called the others to put down their arms and no more spilling of blood and all that stuff.
Okay.
And that's when the coup ended, and then he ended up in jail.
Okay.
So it's kind of like resemble like the Hitler story, pretty much, where he did a coup and then he ended up in jail.
Yeah.
So then in 96, a couple of years later, 3 years later, I can't remember, the president at the time, Rafael Caldera, I think he was elected in 94, he decided to release Hugo Chavez from jail.
Okay.
So he only served like a little bit of time.
Were they friends, or did he just say like, we don't want to have political prisoners? Was there like more to it, or just, all right, they let him out?
I'll probably have to research.
Okay, no problem.
But I know that Caldera was, he was being to politics since like forever, since like the 60s and 70s.
Right.
And he served 2 terms, but not consecutively.
Terms. Okay.
But
so he lets Chavez out.
Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of Venezuelans blame him
for letting Chavez out.
Letting Chavez out of why this disease came into power.
Okay,
so,
this disease.
Yes, this curse. It was cursed.
Of communism.
So the guy, he's let out, and then elections come by in 1999. He decides to run. Okay. So, and then he gathers popularity because, he tried to do a coup to topple the corrupt government. Right. And a lot of people believed in that. That
they
was a big
believed in
mistake.
Chavez in the beginning.
Yes. Okay. That was a mistake there too. Yeah. For the people to vote for him. I know my mother, she did not vote for him. She hated the guy. Okay.
But a lot of people liked him.
A lot of people liked him. He got elected democratically. Okay.
And you think at that point in time the elections were like a little more on the up and up?
I think the elections were true at that time. Okay. I don't think they were they were rigged or anything. They were straight up elections. The guy was very popular. Okay. It's like Hitler. He was like super popular when he got elected. Yeah. Did he get elected? When he ran for chancellor?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have like charismatic people, and they rise to power.
The guy was super charismatic. Right. You can't deny that. Yeah. So that's what got him into power. But you don't know the true self of somebody till after later, where he decided to the following year in 2000 do a constitutional reform. Okay. There was no re-elections in Venezuela.
So he said, we're not going to do elections anymore.
There was no indefinite re-elections. Yes.
What do you mean by that specifically?
You can only serve 2 terms over there.
So he got rid of the 2-term limit?
He got rid of the 2-term limit, yes.
Okay, so he's setting himself up to be in power indefinitely, kind of. And were people resistant to that?
Everybody voted. Okay. So everybody voted on that, and they voted yes to a constitutional reform.
To allow him.
Yes, to allow him. You vote for the constitutional reform, and then they do whatever they want.
Right. So that's what happened in China with Xi as well. They had 2-term limits.
Yeah. It's not like this is how the constitution is going to be if you approve it. Yes. No. It's like, oh no, we need to do a constitutional reform so that we can get this Fifth Republic movement, which that's what they called it, so we can do and make Venezuela flourish. Right. So they say we need this constitutional reform. All you gotta do is vote yes. So people voted yes. Okay. And that means then they can do whatever they want. Right.
So this happened in 2018 in China. She did a constitutional reform so that he could take an unprecedented 3rd term. Yep. Okay. So
after that, the rest is pretty much history.
The rest is history.
24 years.
Well, there's a lot. Okay, so
years with them.
The rest is history up until now. There's like some drama happening there again, right? We had
there's always drama.
Yeah.
There's been always drama. There's been...
Once the hooks of communism get you, it's pretty hard to get out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
There was another coup in 2002 that removed him from power for like, I think it was like a couple days. Then they got him into power back again.
Right.
And there's been other constitutional reforms to keep expanding his agenda.
Giving him more and more powers.
Getting more and more power.
So you've heard Bitcoin is the new gold rush by now. As world leaders on all sides have endorsed it as the future of money, and now you're looking to get started, we'll show you how. It's actually easier than you think. First, go to your nearest ByteFederal ATM and turn your cash to coin. ByteFederal has over 1,200 locations around the country with the highest daily limits. Go to our website, ByteFederal.com, to find the nearest ATM to you. Log in to any wallet, then create an account, deposit your US cash, and instantly convert it to Bitcoin. That's it. We are the only US manufacturer and operator in the Bitcoin ATM industry, and our US-based live customer service is second to none. Go on, give it a whirl, and don't get left behind. Click the link below.